Hi, I'm going to tell you guys my Emma story today. So, this is a true story from my life, but because of similarities to the story Emma, I'm going to replace people's names with character names from Emma to protect their privacy and also to help you understand where the parallels are drawn. When I was in high school, my best friend Harriet and I were rather boy crazy. And one of the boys that she thought was really cute was Mr. Elton. He seemed to really like her too, I thought, because he was always hanging around us and laughing at our silly jokes, and just at lunch or wherever he could be around us, he was always around. And so I thought he must really like Harriet as well. So I encouraged him to ask her on a date. This is where the story's a little different. She did go on a date with him, and she decided by the end of the date that he was not as amazing as she had first thought. And so she asked me if I would be mad if she didn't like him anymore. And I was like, I don't care if you don't like him. If everything you just told me about him is true, then I don't blame you. Like, he's a little strange, and that's okay if you don't like him. It doesn't mean anything to me. So some months went by, and we all moved on and had plenty of other cute boys to look at and think about. And one day, and in the meantime, Mr. Elton met Mrs. Elton and started dating her. Of course, they weren't really married. They were just dating because this was high school. But she was a Mrs. Elton. She had an obnoxious laugh. She was rather tactless. And their relationship, at least from the outside, looked rather interesting. Like that she was the strong personality and he was just deliriously happy, but also a little bit I don't know. How do you say that?
Overzealous? Self-righteous?
No.
Snotty?
She was the one who wore the pants in the relationship. There you go. Thank you. Anyway, then a little while after Mr. Elton started dating Mrs. Elton, I was cleaning out my locker one day or something with my locker, and a page fell out, a folded paper that I didn't recognize. So I opened it up, and it was a love poem. And I started reading it, my heart started pounding, my face started burning, and I was like, oh my goodness, I think this poem might be, what if it's from Frank Churchill, who I thought was super hot. And I was so excited, but I also became very frustrated over time because I really had no way of knowing who had put this love poem in my locker. And my friend, Mr. Knightley, who I had band class with, I told him one day because he loved the idea of like mysteries, and you know, he'd read like Harriet the Spy, and we talked about stuff like that, and he just was like, I could solve any mystery, I bet I can. And I was like, I have a mystery I bet you can't solve. And I showed him the poem, and he immediately was like, I know who wrote this poem. And I was like, no, you don't. There is no way. And he was like, Mr. Elton wrote this poem. And I was like, no, he didn't. Mr. Elton is dating Mrs. Elton. Why in the world would he write me a love poem that makes absolutely no sense? He would never do that. That just is ridiculous. And I also didn't like that idea because, for one, I did not like Mr. Elton, and two, I really wanted the poem to be from Frank Churchill. But anyway, so we left class, and we had history together, so we would walk down to the hall to my locker, and I would get my history book, and then we would continue on to class. And at this point in our day, we would usually pass Mr. Elton. And Mr. Knightley and Mr. Elton were good friends. Mr. Knightley knew Mr. Elton way more than I did. And so as we passed Mr. Elton, while I was getting my book from my locker, Mr. Knightley said, hey, Mr. Elton, can I look in your backpack? And Mr. Elton was like, sure. And so Mr. Knightley starts going through his backpack, and he pulls out a folder, and Mr. Elton started to sound really nervous and said, what are you looking for? And Mr. Knightley flipped through some pages in the folder and said, I'm looking for this, and pulled out an exact copy of the poem, which he had concluded would have to have been by Mr. Elton because it was his favorite font, and it was written in the same style as other poems that he was aware of that Mr. Elton had written. So he had deduced correctly, and I looked at him and I looked at Mr. Elton, and was like, okay. And I closed my locker and kept walking to my class. And then Mr. Knightley caught up to me and was so proud of himself that he had solved the mystery. But I was just flabbergasted because why in the world would Mr. Elton write me that poem? I did not want it to be him. I was so mad that it was, and it didn't make any sense. And I was just frustrated. So after school that day, I went home and I was going to take a nap after school because I usually woke up really early and usually went to bed really late. So after school naps were a thing until I got a job later. So I was trying to go to sleep and I heard the doorbell ring, but I didn't think anything of it because I have a big family, so it could have been for anybody. But my mom knocks on my door and says, there are some friends here to see you. And I was like, who are they? And she's like, I don't know who they are. And that was weird. And so I went upstairs and it was Mr. and Mrs. Elton come to explain to me about the love poem. So apparently what had happened was during the time in which Mr. Elton would hang around Harriet and I, he was actually interested in me. But because I wasn't 16 yet and my parents wouldn't let me date, when I suggested that he take out Harriet, he did, but it was really me he was interested in, and apparently he wrote me a love poem and put it in my locker at that time, and I didn't find it till months later when he was already dating Mrs. Elton. So they were there to explain that whole misunderstanding, and I was extremely relieved and just like, okay, great, that's really interesting. I had no idea, but that's funny, haha. And then Mrs. Elton wanted to talk to me alone. So we sent Mr. Elton outside for a minute, and she wanted to make sure that I was not going to steal Mr. Elton from her. And I promised her I was not at all interested in Mr. Elton, and she was perfectly safe, and I was happy for them. The music is so dramatic right now. So anyway, it was all fine. Everything was good, and it was a happy ending for everybody. And I have never been good at setting up people ever since. The end.
Poppycock.